Welcome to the Sports Hangover. I'm Michael Benatar, joined alongside J-Dog.
Mike, it's good to see you. It's been a weird week in the sports world, right?
It has. It's been weird. It's been weird not only in the game, but then like the things that has happened afterwards, like what's it called? Speak for yourself. Like what's that? Is that
Oh,
what it's
yeah,
called?
Skip and Shannon,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. Like weird drama afterwards. Yeah,
The
very
Skip
weird.
Bayless tweet, right? He was the insensitive one. There's always one. You knew someone in sports media would be insensitive on
But
Monday night, and it turned out to be Skip. But I know what you're going to say. You're going to say, was it so insensitive?
yes, I was gonna say that because it didn't seem that insensitive. But also I was gonna say, Jeremy, you as Sportstradamus himself, as the man here, you've been predicting this since we have started the Sports Hangover. You said the downfall of the NFL will be coming. You knew this in 2012. You knew this in 2013. You knew this year as well. We've never seen anything like this live on the field, right? We've seen post injuries, they've retired, things are happening, people go a little crazy, damage to their head. This went to another level. Very scary for everybody over there. Uh, but you knew something like this would be the decline of the NFL as
I'm
sports
glad you mentioned
itself.
Sports We just did our Sports prediction show last week, so it's right below this episode. If you haven't
Mhm.
listened yet, download that one, check it out. We didn't talk about it there. I didn't talk about like the day
No,
before it happened, but
no,
in general, in our
you can go
vague
back.
predictions,
Yeah.
I've predicted year after year for some
Mhm.
time that the demise of the NFL is real. We're not going to have enough quarterbacks because they're not going to come from these white collar areas anymore, and you're going to run out of really white privileged quarterbacks, if you will, and their families won't allow them to play football, and then the league will be completely different at that point. So we've seen this happen. We talked about it before, but what happened Monday night? You're right. It was so scary. And I think the league got. Obviously, it's great the kid is going to survive, and that's first and foremost. And if he would have passed away, it's a completely different story. And thankfully, he's awake. He's communicating. It seems like he's going to survive. I wouldn't be surprised if he plays football again. It's happened in the NHL to Chris Pronger, apparently, a similar issue, heart stopped, resuscitation. He played again in the NHL. So maybe he'll be able to
Well,
play again in the NFL, which would be the best.
right after that happened, I felt like all these TikToks came out of this has happened a ton of times in sports. People just dropping because of the impact to their chest or something happening to their heart, and it like basically makes your heart stop. But most times people get back up. Yeah, it was crazy because I was watching it. I was watching it
Yeah,
live. I'm
watching
like,
it live. Me too.
nothing going on. I'm like, why, damn, this commercial's taking a really long time. I didn't see what happened. Had to go back, looked what happened, and I'm like, oh man, he just collapsed. Like something happened there. And then they just a lot of they didn't. I was gonna say they didn't really cover the pause of the game very well. They just kept throwing it back and talking about how sad it was and everything like that. They should have just kept running commercials and be like, we're no longer broadcasting. Let's cut to something else because
I
it
was
was
going to
awkward.
ask you. I was going to ask you about the coverage. I thought Joe Buck did a good job on site because he doesn't have much info either. And I
Sure.
think the people in the stadium, like we had more info watching TV than the people in the stadium. That's kind of how it works. And so
Yeah.
I think he did a good job leading up. The studio coverage was Susie and Booger and Adam. They weren't adding much, but I felt
No.
like maybe that's better than like going to just commercial breaks. Or I thought about maybe play the Rose Bowl from earlier, but people were tuning in. It turns out, like it's sad, but this was the most watched Monday Night Football game ever because once the injury happened, the rating went
Yeah.
up over 20 million because so many people were tuning in at that point.
So I was listening to Dave Portnoy and Joe Rogan. They were talking, and they mentioned something like this, like you know, if you were an 18-year-old and you were kind of like you grew up poor doing all this, and you said, hey, when you're 30, you're going to be making millions of dollars, but there is a risk. You're going to be, you could potentially collapse on the field, get a head injury. Would you sign up for it? I still think a lot of people would. Dave Portnoy is like, yeah, I would have signed up too. And I think I might have signed if I was actually talented enough to play. Why wouldn't you? And everybody, I guess in a way, we assume everybody knows the risk, but it is a risk that is very kept quiet in a sense. Like no one really knows like, oh, what does CTE do to you? Or what do these impacts do to your body long term? Some people seem fine. Tom Brady's still he's almost 45 and he's still out there. Obviously, he's like been hit hard in the past, but the new rules have changed. It is a weird thing to think about because do people want, like yourself, Sports predicted, in 20 years, will the NFL still be the power it is? I don't know. I mean, there is no other sport that does what the NFL does. It's like the highest viewed sport out there right now, at least in
And there's so
America.
much money for it. And you're right, the players get paid more than us because they
Yeah,
live with so much more risk than us, among other things.
sure.
They're much more talented than us too, but they have the risk. I think the issue is life and death is never on the table like it was on Monday night. And so
Sure.
often we see the extremities, we see the long-term brain injuries, the concussions now, but the players always seem to get better in real time over the course of weeks or months and they play again. And maybe it affects them 20 or 30 years down the road, but that's not right in front of you. It's like we all know climate change is going to affect us in 20, 30 years, yet most of us do very little about it right
Yeah.
now. And that's just because, oh, it's in the future. Who cares? It's not right in front of you like life and death was on Monday night. I think it will change certain families' decisions to allow their kids and young people to play football at the youth level and at different levels. But I also think it is a part of the game. Unfortunately, we now are aware life and death is a part of the game too.
So we haven't really heard anything from Roger Goodell, right? We've kind of been silent. We haven't heard much from him. Um, you would think right after go out there and talk about it, but is this like a play by the NFL? You know that we are in a conspiracy theory thread. We send each other conspiracies. I sent you one about the ambulance. Look it
That
up
was
if you
weird. That was a weird one.
it,
You want
if
to
you
share what it
I can
was?
share it. Basically, this guy's breaking down the ambulance and the local hospital. The ambulance does not match up with the local hospital ambulance. There's no markings on it. You would think, hey, you're here. You would want markings. Be like, look at the hospital saving
Yeah.
lives, blah, blah, blah. No markings on there. They go in, they dig deeper. They say the license plate is registered to like a old, like 1980 van
An
or something,
Astro
like
van. Yeah.
Astro van. So there's weird conspiracies out there. Obviously, I didn't do my own research. I watched a video of some guy, could be totally false, but it was weird. You were watching. It's like there are no markings. You don't know what's going on. I feel like the way the NFL is handling it, they're not doing a great job. I feel like the NBA, what's his name? I don't know the commissioner's name. I always forget his name. Adam
Yeah.
Silver.
Yeah. Silver.
He
He's
does
great. He
a
gets in
great
front of
job.
things.
He
Yeah.
gets out there. He's like, okay, this is
Yeah.
happening. I mean, with the Kyrie, everything, they were out there doing it. Goodell's like kind of hidden in the back. It's like, hey, you don't see me. I can't do anything wrong. But in a way, you are kind of doing something wrong. Not saying like, yeah, player safety is number one thing. Not here. They still want all the games to happen this weekend. I don't know. They took off on our super contest, the Buffalo game. You can't bet on
Really?
this weekend.
Really?
The Cincinnati game, weirdly, you can. So I don't know. They were both there. I don't know why just that one, but I
At
kind of
one
get it.
point, I thought Patriots Bills would actually might not happen this week, and I think it's
Yeah.
much more likely to happen now. Maybe not 100% still, but I think it's much more likely now that apparently this morning Demar, FaceTimed the team, he spoke to them, and things are looking so much better than they even did like on Tuesday at this time, and each day seems to be getting better. I think the Bills and Patriots will now play. Roger did not want to cancel that game at all. Roger and the NFL has a thing, and I was texting you guys about this that night. The NFL has never canceled a regular season game in history, and that is something to hang your hat on. They got through COVID, they got through everything. And Roger, I think, did not want to stop the game on Monday night. We know the 5-minute rule was announced by Joe Buck. We don't know, was that actually ever going to happen? Was that
Yeah.
just like a protocol they were following? I'm not going to be hard on the NFL for that. I think you make a good point where we haven't heard from Roger this week, and it'd be great to hear from
Not
some
at all.
leadership. And I think a lot of times when you don't hear from leadership, negativity fills that void, right? And there is room for criticism because you're not hearing from them and they're not communicating properly. I think if we would have heard from Roger this week and heard him be a little bit empathetic and emotional and give some real talk about the future and it is a dangerous sport, I think that would help kind of understand the moment that we're in. Because I also think he could have spoken to football fans who are all a little shell shocked by this, even watching it. Like, we're both watching it live. It was kind of bizarre, and we watch football all the time. And like even Tuesday morning, I woke up thinking about it and like concerned about it. I didn't feel right because of
Yeah.
something I watched, and Goodell almost owes the fans a little bit of an explanation for that.
Well, it was weird because you really saw the emotions of the players. You saw like Josh Allen crying on
Yeah,
the
that
sideline.
was
It was
hard to
like
watch.
when I saw that, I'm like, there's no way anybody's playing this game. Like
No,
your quarterback is in tears on the sideline. Like something's going on.
no.
No one has information. They're just like keep repeating the same thing. It was really weird. And I don't know. And also what was really like weird, like, so we're in all different threads. Some threads were in multiple times. So it's like, do we really reiterate something that we're already in? I was in multiple threads where people are talking about it. And there's only so many times I can say the same thing. So it's like, you have to pick and choose where you text something, but it was everybody was, oh, did you see what's happening here? It's like, yeah, we're all watching this going
Well,
on right now. It's crazy.
I think to your point on that happening on Monday night is The NFL got unlucky that it happened Monday night when it did in this game of the two powerhouses. What was the stat? Like it was the most
Yeah.
wins among two teams on Monday Night Football ever. It's probably the best Monday Night Football matchup ever, and they couldn't even finish the game, which is crazy. But it did have 20 million people watching. If it happens at 10:30 a.m. on a
Sure.
Sunday Pacific time, when the slate has 11 games, Red Zone shows it. Red Zone's concerned. The other games continue. The 4 o'clock games continue. Like life goes on because it happened Monday night, because it was such a good matchup. Even if it's like Colts Steelers the week before on Monday night, it's not going to have the same viewership as this one game had so many people watching, and it drove so many more people to be aware of it. And that's just the NFL being unlucky. I think it's also scary how everything is unprecedented these days, Mike, where we talk about everything is so scary. We've never seen it before. How about the pandemic? How about overthrowing the government?
I know.
How about the political divide in this country as we watch the House show how incompetent they are every day? And now this football injury. It's kind of
Can
scary
you
how everything is like the worst ever all at once.
can you explain what's going on in the house? I literally like randomly see memes about it. I see little like clips about it. I don't know what's going on. I know they're trying to pick a new speaker of the house. What is actually going on, Jeremy? Can you just explain that real quick to me? Why they can't decide to vote somebody
Yeah,
speaker of the
it's
house?
normally a really easy thing because it's a two-party system that we're in, and we have a
Yeah.
lot of complaints about this weird two-party system, but that's how American politics are built,
Hmm.
Republicans and Democrats. And so the Republicans won the House, and so
Hmm.
now they come in January after the new year and they vote for their speaker, and then
Okay.
they all get sworn into Congress and they start making laws for the country. Most of them actually start working very little. They go home on the weekends and they do their own thing. It
Well,
turns
that's
out
government,
they've now
right?
had, right, exactly, at all levels. But now they've had 13 votes as of Friday afternoon for Kevin McCarthy to try to be the Speaker of the House. He moved his stuff into the Speaker's office
Oh,
before the first vote. All of his stuff is in the Speaker's office. And now
really
there's been
confident.
13 votes, and there's a few random Republicans, the Marjorie Taylor Greens of the world, some crazy Republicans
Hmm.
who are blocking Kevin McCarthy because he won't stick up for them. However, there's a situation where they can't get anyone in without the proper votes. And so now Congress can't work without a Speaker of the House. That's how
Oh
like
my
the
God.
Constitution was written. So they can't work. They're adjourning until the weekend, I think, at this point. They don't like to work weekends. Like me and you,
Of
Mike.
course.
If work is done on the weekends, we have to do it. But if you're a politician making great money, you don't have to work on nights or
Of course.
weekends.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's a crazy situation, incompetency at the highest level, but that's been the theme of DC for a while
Oh, it's fun. All right, good. Yeah, the memes are
now.
very weird. People like, have you seen the dubs, the dub over of like all of them talking? Because there's cameras on everybody the whole time,
Yeah.
so it's like they're dubbing over. It's like, oh, you like Dracula, huh? They're just you know that like NFL one where they dub over things. They're doing it
Yeah.
too with the thing. It's pretty funny. That's what
I
I'm
saw
seeing. So that's the
AOC
politics
and one
I'm
of the
seeing.
hardcore Republicans, Matt
Yeah.
Gaetz, were in a interesting battle, and I saw a lip sync breakdown of that
Yes.
and the whole
Yeah.
thing. You mentioned the conspiracy theory, which I don't support, and the Sports Hangover does not support at all.
Okay.
Whatever's
Okay.
going on with your ambulance, just want to put that legal notice out there. But the conspiracy theory I do want to
Oh.
investigate is what's going on that football field in Cincinnati. I know this was
Hmm.
not a head injury, severe head injury, so I'm not saying the surface, but what's going on there where this terrible incident occurred? The last terrible incident we all watched as football fans was Tua in the fencing position on Thursday night. Me and you were at the Whole Foods bar
Oh yeah.
uh,
With that
watching
guy
that.
that
The
with
guy
the
who
guy
told us
betting
to
on the
quiet
kicker.
down, right? Yeah.
Yeah. Oh
Oh,
yeah.
yeah.
And then, yeah. There's a
A few
lot.
things happened
Yeah.
that
There's
night.
a lot that
A
happened
few
that
things.
night. Yeah.
A two in the fencing position was in Cincinnati. The Antonio Brown hit that was so crazy that they say changed his life forever from Montez Burfict and maybe made him a crazy person happened
Mhm.
in
Yeah.
Cincinnati. And Ryan Shazier, the Steelers player who was paralyzed for a time. I think he's walking better now. He was in a wheelchair for a long time.
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah.
know that he's regained. I don't think he ever played football again. But
No.
that happened on the Cincinnati field as well. So what's going on that field? Is it bad mojo? Is it like an unsafe playing surface? I'm serious. Like we need to look into
Yeah,
this.
I mean, right when you say it, it's like, well, one thing it could be the grass, right? It could just that could be the simple answer. But then you think like, well, is it on like some weird burial ground? Like, is something going
Yeah.
on there that's like a little
Yeah.
bit mysterious? We don't know what's going on. Is it just the vibe of what Cincinnati brings? I mean, I'm sure if we looked into it, I'm sure there's been other injuries at other fields as well, but this one just happens to have
This has
four in
the
the
most
last,
notable.
yeah, four in the last like 10 years or something like that. Yeah, it's weird. I just think I think also a lot of times when big injuries happen, we don't see them this long, right? We're not like plastered on the field for this long because there's other games they cut to. It's like, oh, we're gonna go over to whatever other game right now. It's a weird feeling that something keeps happening on this field. Maybe the owner, I don't know who the owner is. Maybe they decide, hey, maybe we need to get rid of this and move somewhere else down the street, get a new stadium. I don't know. It is weird. I mean, this last injury would make me scared to play there as an opponent, right? Because all the stuff has only happened to opponents, not players on the Cincinnati
It is
team.
kind of all opponents, which is weird. But it's important to note they're not all like head injuries hitting the ground. It's not that simple to say, oh, the ground is frozen and too hard there. It's more than that. I'd like to dig into it. We know Cincinnati is a depressing place. It doesn't mean it has to be a dangerous place. And so
That's right.
it's something to kind of explore. And it was also crazy how it happened, week 18, I guess, or 17, week 17. When it did, fantasy football championships were affected and incomplete. A lot of angry people on both sides of that. The betting situation, the playoff situation, coming on Monday night at the end of the season made it so much more complicated.
So were there any angry people at all in any of the leagues you play in? Because I'm out. I've been out of fantasy football for the last 10 weeks. I don't even know what's going on in my team. Clearly I lost. I got a text message from the commissioner, a mutual friend. I am the loser this year.
Last place. Yeah.
Last place. Yeah. Yeah. Good job. Did it affect anything at all?
Well, I'll tell you my anecdote. I was playing in a third place game and I had Jamar Chase in action, and my opponent, who I was beating my opponent, but my opponent had T. Higgins in action. So there's a chance I was going to lose the game. And then the game was called. And so when the game was called, the percentages on ESPN was 96% for me, 4% for the opponent. And so what I did was I accepted third place. I took the third place money and I paid out 4% of the money to the opponent, to be fair.
Oh, I thought you were going to donate it. I thought that's where it all was, just donate the full amount to.
I didn't yet. Maybe that's a good idea to do. But I gave 4% to the opponent. So maybe a little split, a little rev share split based on percentages would be one way to do it. We weren't in any leagues where like the championship was definitely defined by the cancellation. I'm sure they exist, and definitely in like best ball tournaments and Monday night tournaments everywhere. There was so much action that was affected, which is crazy.
We should avoid our legal friends, our lawyer friends league. We should just avoid that. We should get our money back play next year.
I don't know. I heard I might be in the money in that. I just heard actually. So
I have to look at that app.
I might stick around in that.
Sign in.
I have some more stories. Should we,
let's go.
Move on from the sadness. 17 minutes of sadness to start. Scandal City. Do you have a drop? You don't have a drop.
No drop. I mean, I could try. Do you want me to try it? I could try Scandal. Do you hear this?
It's good radio when they can't hear it.
You clearly don't hear that if you're talking.
No one can hear it. It is Scandal City. Dana White is a big deal in UFC, and he slapped his wife on video.
So, okay, real quick. I watched that video multiple times. I never could see a slap happen. Am I the only one that had like a bad lighting or something? I could never see
it was so clear.
I couldn't. All I saw was like a zoomed out picture of them. Then it zoomed in, and he was holding her wrist. And
I don't know if you saw the video I saw. Maybe I saw better quality. It was so clear. She slapped him, and then he slapped her.
I never saw a slap anywhere. All I saw was like sad videos of him apologizing for it on like TMZ. That's
anyway.
What I saw.
No punishment yet. So my scandal is, one, should he be punished? Should he be suspended? Should he lose his presidency of UFC? That's one question. Or two, was he promoting his new show, which is a slap show? It's literally a slap show on like TNT or something.
No, it's not.
I swear he has a slap show coming out. Was it all a bit? Is it all a viral thing? Like I told you, Drew Brees gets struck by lightning. Was this made up thing for PointsBet? Is it like a thing to promote his new show? I really don't know, and that's sad in this day and age.
I feel like it's hard because he's not like the owner of the UFC, right? He sold it off to somebody. He's like the president of the UFC.
Yeah, I think so.
Correct, right? Yes. Now we saw this recently with WWE owner, commissioner. Why can't I think of anybody's name right now? Who's the owner of WWE?
Of UFC? Oh, Vince McMahon.
Vince McMahon. Vince McMahon had a lot of scandals going on. He left. He left on his own will. Ran away. Okay, I'm going to leave. Clearly didn't want to leave. He came back. Stocks booming like ever. Is it a form of punishment when you like say you're going to leave, but you really know you're going to come back? Like, is that really like Vince McMahon was able to come back, right? Like, I think, was it just scandals? He was just like dating people in the
I think there were
organization?
lawsuits filed like he was inappropriate with women. I don't know
Okay,
the full
so
story. I apologize,
I
but
don't either.
I think he was being inappropriate.
So I just find it weird because it's almost like, in a way, as a stock shareholder, people are excited. Vince McMahon is back. He's back. Well, let's forget about what he did. So everybody seems to slowly forget about it. So is it just like, just
Mhm.
go away for a while and then you're excused? Kind of like Louis C.K. I see him all over the place now, but every time I see him, I just think about, he just forces people to watch him jerk off. So I don't know at what point, like, I don't know anymore. Like, is it right? Is it wrong? I can't determine that anymore. If people forgive him, forgive him. Like, I don't know. Vince McMahon's back. He did sexual things and got sued for it and all this stuff. I don't know anymore. I can't predict what's happening in this world. I'm
It
very
sounds like a
confused.
difference of PR punishment versus real punishments. I have the
Yes.
info on the show. It's called
Okay.
Dana White's Power Slap League.
No.
Is the name of the show on TBS, but it's been pushed back a week. So it's actually been
Okay.
pushed back a week to January 18th. It was supposed to be this coming, I guess that's Tuesday, January 11th, or next week, maybe Wednesday. It's not been pushed back to January 18th on TBS. It is a real show about a slap. So I just wanted to mention, like, we don't know what's real or fake anymore, which is kind of crazy too.
Yeah, I don't know anymore. So I just can't predict and don't know. And I have to find a video that I can see it. I could not see it at all.
I'll try to
Maybe on
send that
Instagram
to
is
you.
like censored or something. Do you want to get into picks or you got more?
Before picks, can we do a little fun multiple choice?
Yeah, let's do a multiple choice.
I just have a random trivia question for NBA. Did you know someone in the
Oh,
NBA scored 71 points the night of the Demar Hamlin injury on Monday night? Did you know
I
that?
did not. I didn't know that.
Okay, who scored 71 points on Monday
I
night,
think
the
I'm
same night
okay.
Demar Hamlin was
Okay.
injured?
All right, go
All right,
ahead.
A,
Okay.
James Harden. B, Kevin Durant. C, Donovan Mitchell. Or D, Trey Young.
I have no idea. I'm gonna go. Who is A?
James Harden,
No, no,
Kevin
no, no.
Durant, Donovan Mitchell, Trey Young.
I'm gonna go Trey Young because I clearly have no idea. When did all this happen? This happened Monday
This
night?
happened Monday night during the injury. It's crazy. Like 71 points should be such a big deal in the NBA. And so the answer is Donovan Mitchell.
Huge.
So you didn't know this happened and you didn't know who it was, which is me proving a point on that the NBA is down bad. Because this is such a big deal. 71 points in the game. People talk about, well, Chamberlain's 100. You're only 29 points away from that. Anyone can score 29. It's crazy that this happened on Monday and no one gave a shit about it. And
I had
poor
no
Donovan
idea.
Mitchell, no one cares. Exactly. So sorry, NBA, but this is why we don't talk NBA.
Yeah, we don't talk NBA. Not yet. Once football's over, we'll talk NBA. I gotta watch some.
All right, now let's get to picks.
All right, this is a tough week for us. We are currently, it's sad. We have to go 4-1 or 5-0 this week. We want to break 500. We're at 40, 43 and 2. We had 2 ties. Now, we are in another league.
Wow.
We are in another league together and we're in the money. We're already in third place. We might win the quarter. We might win $1,000 in that other league. Now there's only 12 people. There's only 12 people in that. Much easier to beat out 12 people than 7,000 people. This week is only for stats. We are doing this because we want to have a 500 record. There's no money involved in this. This is just for next year to give us confidence going into next year. It was a hard week. A lot of random stuff is going on. People are sitting. We don't know the motives of a lot of stuff.
It's a weird
in our manifesto. Sure. In our manifesto, this is a big one. If there is a must-win game since 2003, the last game of the regular season, if it's a must-win, that must-win team goes 16-26 against the spread, 38% against the spread. That is not a good stat. They choke.
That's what.
Well, against the spread. So it's against the spread. So there are a lot of teams,
lose, but they don't meet their expectations. It sounds like 60% of the time they don't hit their expectations when they're in that situation, which is very scary for the Dolphins this week.
So we have a lot of games. We'll start at the Dolphins. We're taking the Dolphins this week because Joe Flacco is in, and we are going to fade Joe Flacco. We're taking Miami. We are getting Miami at 1. I think they're at -3 currently, the current line. So we're getting value. We're getting +1 on Miami in the contest. It locks on Wednesday. The lines have locked. We now have them at 1. We're taking Miami. I know
Wait, you have them at -1?
No, we have him at +1.
+1? It's in Miami.
And
Why was
now
the line ever +1?
because Zach Wilson was going to play, and now
Now
Joe
it's
Flacco is
Flacco.
going to play. So Skylar
So,
Thompson, your quarterback,
well, that's
I
the
don't know,
thing.
third. Is he
Yeah,
bad?
you're fading Flacco in support of Thompson.
Yeah. That's what
Like,
we're doing.
both are true. You can't just say you're fading Flacco.
Yes,
You're
correct.
supporting Skylar Thompson is the other side
Yes.
of that coin
Yeah.
that you didn't want
Yeah.
to say out loud, but you have to. I'm not optimistic about Sunday. I texted a mutual friend. I said, one, not sure we should actually meet up on Sunday to watch together due to it's Dolphins or Steelers basically getting in, because we think the Bills are going to come out fired up and beat the Patriots, which should happen. And then the second thing was, I think the Dolphins will lose and the Steelers will win, and the Steelers will get that playoff spot. Skylar Thompson is not the only reason. Teron Armstead, their left tackle, is banged up. They're on their 4th string left tackle.
Should I take out Miami? I got to take out Miami. I didn't submit yet.
Signed this week, 4th left tackle of the season, off the street, protecting the blind side of a Skylar Thompson.
Okay, well, that's great for us. Well, the next game, I'm fading my Seattle Seahawks. They win. They can only get in if the Lions win. But I'm fading them. I'm taking the Rams with Baker Mayfield. The Rams are getting +6 in Seattle. And this is a must-win game. We're fading them. We're just playing a numbers game here. The Rams. Take the Rams at 6. It's a gross game.
I don't like you fading Geno and the Seahawks. They've done so much this year to get to this point. They're one game from the playoffs, and you're saying, nah, they're not going to make it. That's disappointing. Also, Mike, as part of a TSH exclusive, I went to SoFi Stadium last week to scout Baker Mayfield and the Rams, and he didn't look good. He didn't look good at all. The only time they moved the ball was with Cam Akers in the run game. He made some really bad plays and got sacked a lot by a team, the Chargers, who don't sack any quarterbacks. So you're 0 for 2 so far.
Okay, well, we will jump over to the New York Giants on the road in Philly. Eagle needs this to win. New York's getting 14 points. I don't think Danny Dimes is playing. I think they're playing a backup. It's a scary game. I don't want to play it. It's gross, but we're getting 14 points. Philly doesn't need
Tyrod Taylor, Gardner Minshew. Bizarre matchup.
We don't need, like, Philly needs this more than New York, right? New York's already in, right?
New York's locked in as the 5. Philly's locked in the playoffs, but will they be the 1 or the 2, right?
So it's more for them, but it's like, ultimately, it doesn't matter. They don't want to kill themselves over this game. I'm hoping the 14 points, enough for us to win and cover. It's a scary week out here. All right. It's not a fun week.
Can the Eagles actually lose? I think they can, now that I realize that they can actually lose the division. The Cowboys can still win the division, right? There's a lot of playoff scenarios going on, but I'm pretty sure
there's so many.
There's a scenario where the Cowboys win the division over the Eagles. I'm pulling up the standings right now. So yeah, the Eagles are 13-3. The Cowboys are 12-4. Cowboys playing the Commanders. Eagles playing the Giants. Eagles lose. Cowboys win. Cowboys at 13-4. Same as Eagles. I think they win the division. And the Eagles go all the way to the 5. You play at Tampa first week of the playoffs. That's like a gimme win, but I don't know. Gardner didn't look good against the Saints either.
No, it's not been good. This week,
you feel better if Danny Dimes was playing.
Oh yeah, 100%. Even though I don't think he's good.
Even though they're the luckiest team in the NFL, but they're not. Wait, you had a stat for a while. The Giants were the luckiest team in the NFL. We all know the Vikings are now the luckiest team in the NFL.
They have to be the luckiest. I could look up the luck rankings. Let me see. Luck NFL.
Because the Vikings were, I think they're like Pythagorean theorem has them as like the 27th most talented NFL team out of 32. Yet they're going to be like the 2 seed in the playoffs.
So Minnesota's number 1 ranking, Philly's number 2, Kansas City's number 3, and Cincinnati's number 4.
For luck?
For luck. New York Giants are number 5 right now.
Who is 1?
Minnesota.
Yeah. And the Giants have fallen to 5th. So they're coming back to earth in the luck.
Oh, wow. You changed view. That's weird. All right. Next game. This is a gross game. I don't want to bet it. Herbert's out. Chargers in Denver. We're taking Denver here. Denver -3 at home. Russ is still playing. Russ is playing to prove that he's not a piece of shit, and he's going to go out there and try to beat the Chargers. Chargers don't need this game, right? They're just putting in their backup. They're playing. They're in. They're already in the playoffs.
They're the 5, yeah.
So this one felt easy to me. I'm sure some of the backups are going to try hard, but I'm guessing Denver is going to go out there and try. It's a gross game, but you got to bet it. You got to bet it this week.
I
Hate it.
like that one this week because the Chargers are resting for that matchup either at Titans or at Jags. It's the winner of that Saturday night game. They're going to go on the road, so might as well rest them. Herbert looked good. Same idea. Baker looked bad in person. Herbert looked good in person. He was slinging it. His receivers are healthy. His O-line is getting healthy. I think the Chargers might even go on a little playoff run.
You think?
Yeah.
I don't think they can beat Kansas City.
They can beat Kansas City.
Okay.
We'll see what happens. We'll see what the matchups are. It's very confusing actually at the top of the AFC now because of the Bengals mess with the Bills. There's a lot of weird scenarios for Bills, Chiefs.
I heard if
Bengals.
Cincinnati beats Baltimore or Baltimore, whatever, they're going to flip a coin to see who gets home field division or home field.
Home field when they play, but they are giving the Bengals the division already. They're going to win percentage. I think the Bills are winning in for the number 1 seed, I think.
I feel bad for whoever has to figure all this out because I look at him like, how did they figure out all these things need to happen for this one thing to happen? It doesn't.
I know.
I can't remember.
That's what the NFL does. So at one point, we were thinking there's going to be 8 playoff teams in the AFC. Did you see that report come out like on Tuesday or Wednesday where they said maybe we won't give anyone a bye because no one in the AFC deserves it because you have a weird number of teams. And so me and mutual friend are like, wow, we're both getting in. This is amazing. Patriots are going to lose. Dolphins and Steelers get in, but then they took that away from me.
I mean, I wanted to bet against Steelers, and a mutual friend just laughed at me. Like, I said, this is my note. I said, Cleveland's playing for nothing. Pittsburgh always loses this game, and games that a team needs to win, they're only 38% that can cover this game. I wanted Cleveland. I wanted Cleveland so bad in the contest this week. Cleveland is the game. Pittsburgh, they're not going to cover. So they could still win, but they might not cover.
I think Tomlin is smelling playoffs. He's smelling winning record. That team was terrible. We wrote them off. Shout out Big Lou in the mountains of North Carolina was just looking for draft picks and looking for losses. He was mad that Kenny Pickett started playing good and winning games, and now they're 1 game away from the playoffs and a thrashing at Kansas City, which we saw last year. Steelers at Chiefs. So it was Big Ben's last game ever, and it got ugly.
Last game we're betting. This is the grossest game of the week. Houston at Indy. Houston tanking for the first pick, so they want to lose. Colts playing for nothing. Matt Ryan, maybe his last game before retirement. Maybe goes to a new team. Maybe this is a little highlight reel for them. We're taking Indy here at -2.5. It is gross. I've seen what Houston's been doing. I don't want to put any money on this, but this is a game I feel like we had to bet. It's gross, right? It's a disgusting game.
It's as gross as it gets. There's only 2 games this week with 0 playoff implications, and this is one of them. The other one I think is Cardinals, not Cardinals, 49ers. San
Francisco.
No, it's 49ers playoff seeding is still in play. It's Atlanta and someone from the South, like Carolina. Or
Atlanta and Tampa. That's
Atlanta. So it's not that one. So it's Carolina and New Orleans is the other one with 0 playoff implications. Even the Bucks have implications based on what happens. But that's ugly. I can't speak to this ugly game that you spoke of.
It's gross.
I'm sure it'll work out.
Yeah, we'll see how it goes. This is our last week. We want to go 500 at least. It was a rough year for us. We really had a little slump in the middle, but it felt good. It felt like we figured some things out. We know the rhythms of it. We're going to be coming back next year with we're doing 2 entries next year in the Super Contest. We are doing
a best and a worst. Yeah,
correct. And you will help me with the worst, and we'll go.
Wow, just keep fading me the real picks, and that should.
Well, I think what we'll do is we'll just flip our picks every single week, because at least one will win and one will lose, right? If we go 5-0, the other one will go 0-5. That's what you want every week.
I feel like you found some new strategies, some new formulas this year. Really going to set you up for next year. Hopefully, your investor comes back. I don't know if that's been determined, if he had a nice time this year or what's going to happen.
Yeah, he's not really into football, so I feel like sometimes a
non-activist investor. That's what you want.
Yeah. We'll see if he comes back. We'll hype him up. We'll give him a good pitch deck. Because their other one, our mutual friend, our rich friend, he bailed on us, so he's never actually allowed to invest in us again. That's our rule.
He is our rich friend. You went skiing with him recently. How's your shoulder?
I'm going to the doctor next week.
Oh,
get it all checked out. Not only is it my shoulder, it's my elbow. Extreme pain in my elbow.
Oh yeah, your elbow. Scary stuff.
Yeah,
you gotta get right.
I can really feel the mold.
You're older than me. So in your playoff scenario, you have the Bills, Patriots. You're not picking that game. You assume the Bills win, and then you're picking the Dolphins. So you have the Dolphins in the playoffs in the AFC. Thank you for that. And then in the
Listen, right now, if I was going to tell you winners, if you just want me to go winners this week,
tell me who's getting in.
We're going to take Dallas is going to beat Washington because Washington has a third string rookie backup in. Okay. San Francisco obviously will beat Arizona. Might be a close game.
Yeah.
Rams will beat Seahawks. Kansas City, nothing to play for, so it's a weird game.
They have a 1 seed to play for.
Okay,
right?
so maybe they probably beat the Raiders. Mm-hmm. Cleveland beats Pittsburgh. I think New York beats Philly. Maybe we'll see what happens if they're not started. If Minshew's
so that means Cowboys might get the 1 seed, or maybe the Niners. I have to dig into that.
The Saints beat Carolina. Maybe I'll say you guys beat the Jets.
You have the Dolphins in the playoffs. I don't, but you do.
Yeah. Jacksonville beats Tennessee. I think Tennessee.
I agree. That's a fun one Saturday night. I'm glad they put that Saturday night.
The other game I wanted to bet on, I think Detroit beats Green Bay. This is a big game.
In the playoffs, which does not surprise me based on you watching Hard Knocks and falling in love with Dan Campbell.
I did like that guy. I really do think Detroit beats Green Bay this week. I think this is like the ultimate players game right here. You beat Green Bay, Aaron Rodgers is out of the playoffs. What? Even if you don't win any playoff games, to you, this is the best playoff scenario for you. Detroit goes all out. I don't think Aaron Rodgers cares either way. He's just slinging the ball, like, whatever, here we go. I think Denver beats Chargers. Indy beats Houston. I don't know what the Cincinnati-Baltimore game. I don't know what happens there. I don't know if Cincinnati's right. The Chicago game, I think Minnesota beats them because they're playing. Who's the backup in Chicago again? Somebody?
Couldn't tell you.
Yeah, somebody there. The New England Buffalo game, honestly, like if I was going to bet on it, I would take New England because of what happened last week. I
think Buffalo's so happy now. Like they're relieved. They're happy. They're going to come out really good because.
But imagine like in your head, the fear of what's happening out there. I think it's going to affect them. I think it will affect them a lot more. And I think it will actually affect them because I think this hurts their chances of the Super Bowl because of mentally what just happened. Mentally, physically, like the cars getting stuck in the snow, all this stuff happening to them. I think it's just too much on they could say they're fine, but I think it's internally it's in there. And I don't know what happens.
It's a hard life in Buffalo just based on that snow thing. This keeps happening up there. Like, why do people choose to live there? Like, not the Bills players, but just other people. Like, why do you live there? Like, you're allowed to live other places. No one's keeping you up there.
I have no idea, Jeremy. We don't know. We live in LA. It's great weather. Like it's been raining for a week, and I'm like, why would I live somewhere where it rains like this all the time?
People are freaking out over 2 days of rain.
Jeremy, I will tell you, I've lived here now for 12 years. I've never experienced this much rain. You've experienced the most rain I've ever experienced in like a short amount of time in LA. You'll get it. It's going to rain like one day this weekend in February, something like that. We never get this.
And we have more coming. Sunday.
I know. I don't like it.
Climate change. New York is very warm. It's been like 60 degrees in New York for weeks now. There's some weird stuff going on.
Weird stuff. At least we're getting a lot of rain and snow. Check out the sportshangover.com. We got new swag up there.
Show off your swag.
Look at this. This is my favorite sweater.
Looks so comfortable.
Look at this. Look at this material.
It just looks soft.
It is. It's a great sweater. Check it out. We'll be back next week, and hopefully we're winning some money. We're going to be gambling. Are you joining the playoff pool, the gambling playoff pool?
I think I will. I haven't read it over, but I think I will.
I mean, you don't have to read much. Just gamble on games every week. He made it way too complicated. I didn't even read it all. I'm like, no one's going to read all this unless you've been in it before. All right. Check out sportshangover.com. See you.